Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we are going to be revisiting using water-based markers today. So that is what I'm going to be doing for today's spread. So we are working in my sketchbook today, and once again I've done the sketch off screen just because it's a little bit easier for myself, as well as I don't have to film kind of in one setting or one sitting, I guess. So I'm just going to be showing you guys the coloring portion and then doing the line work as well. So the sketch is done with the Pilot Color Eno because it's just easier for me to work. It's quite light, and by the time I add the colors and the line work, it's not really seen that much, and it doesn't smudge that much too, so it makes it a lot easier and cleaner to work with. And then the markers that I'm using is kind of an assortment. So I have the Magic Fly markers right here, which is kind of like the bulk of the colors just because I picked kind of more vibrant colors. I have the Tombow Art or Tombow dual tip pen, as well as the Crayola Super Tips. So the Crayola Super Tips I just wanted to use as kind of like an accent color, just because I did have a light green that I would like to incorporate in today's spread, but I don't use it too much. The main colors that I'm using is actually yellow, and then the tealish kind of greenish color, as well as, you could argue it's like red or the dark gray I'm going to be using for the line work. So because I'm using water-based markers, in order to stop things from bleeding and making things look a little bit too messy or muddy, I am going to start with doing basically the coloring of everything and then do the line works on top, just because I want to avoid smudging as much as possible. So I decided to do the skin tone really briefly, just in small areas. So Pomu actually, oh, by the way, I'm drawing Pomu. So this is Pomu Rainpuff, and she's a VTuber from Niji-sanji, and she's part of Lazu Light, which is like the first wave of Niji-sanji EN. Okay. So initially, I was gonna do all three of the girls. So there's Pomu, there's Alira, and then there's Finana. So I was gonna do all three, but I kind of ran out of time, so I just did Pomu for today's session. So next week, maybe I'll do a double spread and we can do Alira and Finana. But I think it's also because I didn't know specifically what colors I wanted to do for Finana, per se. I think Alira's might be quite easy if I stick a little bit closer to pastels and stuff. And Pomu already had like a general idea. It's gonna be mostly yellow or this kind of pale yellow color with this kind of turquoisey green color as well. And then I didn't limit myself this time with the colors, I guess, if that makes sense. I usually say like I limit myself to like 3 colors, and that could be including the line work color or not. But I think today I've used how many colors? I think 6 technically. We have like 2-3 prominent colors, and then I have a few accent colors that I could use, or just like things that helps the drawing look a little more accurate, or just to help accent everything. So yeah. And because I did my sketch quite roughly, I actually lost track of certain things, especially on the Pomu in the middle, because my lines were too all over the place. So I accidentally put the kind of like tealish color in the wrong place on the upper part of her, I don't know what it's called, her shirt part, blouse-ish area, basically the part that covers her bust. So the reason why I didn't do a lot of skin tone for her like face, hair, usually the neck and stuff, is because she has a lot of black also in her outfit, or kind of like what is it called, like, I feel like it's like that stocking texture, right? Like on a stocking, if that makes sense. Is that what it's called? I don't remember what it's called, because I barely wear them. I wore them like in high school and stuff because I had to wear uniforms, and ours were black, but it kind of like see-through, if that makes sense. That kind of material. It's like really stretchy. Pantyhose, I guess maybe that's a better word for it. But yeah, and I used a little bit of red for her eyes just because her eye color is closer to kind of like a reddish brown, so I wanted to use that for that. But that's pretty much where I only used the red. So that's what I'm saying, like red and this little green I didn't really need to have, but you know, it's kind of fun to add it as a little bit as an accent color. And then I used the skin tone on top of her hair just to add a little bit more shadow or like little splotches in her hair. And for line work, I decided to go with a dark gray. Now, I kind of had a hard time thinking of what color I wanted to use for the line work. My go-to for this color scheme, I was gonna choose brown, but the browns I have are either very, I don't know, not dark enough technically, or I don't know. I just feel like it didn't fit the color scheme as nicely. Maybe if it was like a little bit warmer, but I needed to be like dark enough too. Otherwise, the warm brown might not look good outlining the kind of like greenish teal area. So I was like, maybe I could choose like a cooler brown, but then I didn't really like it because I think it looks a little off with the hair. So I chose something that's actually very similar to black. So we're using kind of like a almost like cool gray instead, because I could have opted to use even like a dark green, which I thought about as well, but I didn't know if it would look funny for the face and stuff. So yeah, I was being being really timid with my choices this time, so apologies if this color scheme or the colors that I chose are not very exciting, if that makes sense. I did like overall Pomu's design is actually one of my favorites. She's actually the first, I think, EN VTuber, no, EN Nijisanji VTuber liver, whatever. I'd like mix up the sequence, but that I've ever watched technically. I think at the time I was more into like Nijisanji JP because an artist that I followed, they drew a lot of like Kuzuha and Kanae, so I knew about them and I watched some of their live streams, and then I got into some other livers, and then in my recommended, I remember seeing, I think Pomu's thumbnail, and I'm like, her design's like super cute, and I never really watched her, but I clicked on her and she seemed like, you know, really cool, and like she seemed really funny, so I watched a bit of her, but I never really got into like Nijisanji EN as much. And then the next person I saw, I think, was Petra at that time, and I think that was like closer to summer when I saw that. So I was like kind of in and out of watching Nijisanji EN. But I think like Pomu is probably one of my favorites to watch for sure. I watch a lot of Pomu, so I think it's also because like her voice, as well as just like the things she talks about, is very interesting, and then her voice is very calming to me, for me to listen to, I think, especially like whenever she does like Minecraft streams. I always put them in the background while I work, so yeah, it just helps because like topics she talks about are interesting, keeps me somewhat engaged, but also it's like super calming so I can focus on my work. So also apologies, so this one and the second one, I'm gonna botch up the second one's face a little bit, so I'll correct it at the very end. I didn't realize until I looked at the spread right now, because I have my sketchbook in front of me, because I did the spread I think a few days ago, but I'm looking at it now, and I gave her a fairly sharp and almost like more masculine face. I should have made her face a little bit more petite, a little bit more rounded, if I wanted to make it just a little bit more like dainty-ish, if that makes sense. I will fix the second one in a bit, but yeah. It's definitely been quite a while since at least I feel like it's been a while since I've done a marker spread. Because I've been using a lot of pencil recently. There's some with like just straight up pen on top of pencil. That's been fun. I've done gouache, but I think it's like mostly pencil that I've used recently. Pencil and pencil crayon. So a lot of like dry medium. But then the last time, I think the last time I did a marker doodle like this actually, and I didn't film it, was when Tignari was released, like from Genshin. So, maybe I'll do another spread of him in the future. We'll see. I was definitely struggling with his colors, so that's why I didn't film it and wasn't confident about filming it. But yeah, I think it'll be fun to do some of the other EN members because their color schemes I really enjoy, but there's definitely some members that I feel like I would struggle technically picking like a proper color scheme. I had half the mind to actually draw Millie today instead of Pomu, because the thing I was like really wanting to do, and I think Finana also fits into this, is that I really wanted to work with teal, and I didn't want to draw Masaki again because I feel like I've been drawing Masaki too many times recently for videos and not like for myself, so I'm gonna keep that for myself in the future. But I really wanted to work with like a teal or like a greenish teal color, like turquoise. Maybe it's because like I had the marker laying out for whatever reason out of the packaging, and usually I keep all my markers like in their place and in their packaging so I can store them away unless I'm using it for something. But I don't think I used this for anything, so I wonder why I had it out. But the color I really like, so I wanted to use it for a spread. So and I think because I was gonna do all three of the girls, I wanted to start off with Pomu, but I ended up not having enough time. So yeah, maybe, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what I do for next week. Because now that I think about it, I kind of want to do the spreads right now. And then maybe Millie for next Monday. We'll see. It's been a while since I've done like a marker doodling like this. Marker sketching, if you can count it as sketching. Just doodling on a spread and stuff and thinking about the color combinations. It's fun. I just haven't done it too recently, probably because I've been really liking pencil again. Like I go through so many phases with like traditional medium. But just looking at these just looks satisfying. I don't know if it's because I chose okay colors this time around. When I was doing my like little doodle of Tignari back then, I choose too many like dark colors and it made everything look too like overwhelmingly messy. So the nice thing about using like either a limited color palette but also keeping like, you know, some light colors and maybe like a mid-tone, you could probably push and use like a darker tone, but I like keeping my line art as like the darkest thing on the page because after I add marker on top of my sketch, I kind of have to add in all the detail afterwards with the line work, and usually depending on my mood will depend on how much detail I put. So sometimes I'll just do really clean line work and just do the shapes, but sometimes I add a little bit of texture or I darken up the corners to add a little bit more line weight variation. It just kind of like depends. So, but I really do like this one. I think it's been a while since I've liked like a spread like this. I think the other one I really like is the one I did of Kyo and a different one of Wonu, but the one I did for Wonu I used like pure black, and I think that's when I noticed I forgot about like the ghosting for the markers. But yeah, maybe I'll do a few more of some of the people from Niji Sanji because like I said, I really like the color combinations, and it'd be fun to kind of like pick and choose colors for each of the members to do a spread on. Because I think it's like, it also helps me challenge like what I think is like the more prominent color or what color matches, and then colors that help accent it. And I'm not going to limit myself, I don't think. I think it's fun and freeing to have like the options that you want, and then, you know, you can kind of make a mental note being like, you know, I don't need this much of this pale green or even like this red color everywhere. Just make sure it's like in places that maybe accent the piece. But I didn't really need the green. I'm still noticing I didn't really need the green. I think it's because like I thought I needed the green for, and the green I'm talking about is like that really pale green. So it's like in her hair as well as like in some of the places of her shirt or her sleeves or her whatever's covering her bust basically. And I thought I would have more of that like showing. So I thought, you know, I need some color to kind of shade it to make the shapes make sense, but I guess I didn't really need it, so that's okay. Also, I think in a different sketchbook also, I've used a very bright yellow, and I believe this green as well together. I think I was drawing Jonghan from 17, and yeah, so no wonder I think I am okay with this color scheme, because usually I wouldn't really pick a yellow to go with this color. I would pick almost like a peach color because I love orange and teal or red and blue, orange and blue, any of like that range. I never really use yellow too much. I like yellow and blue together as well, almost like a gold with a royal blue or even like almost like a purpley blue, because I like that contrast of the color combination. Yeah, I think that's it for today's doodling session. So I'm going to show you guys. You can see how her face is a little bit on the longer side. I gave her like a longer and more prominent chin area. I kind of wish I rounded it out. And then this one was just totally botched, probably because I was drawing at an angle. And I don't mean like horizontal versus vertical. I actually tilted my sketchbook so that her, like this figure was like a lot farther away, and so I probably skewed the view and I didn't check. So luckily I'm fixing it now, so her face is a little bit more symmetrical and a little bit more smaller. But yeah, that kind of fits a little bit better. I always love drawing her hair. It's so flowy and cute, so it's fun to doodle. And then the last one on the side right there. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's little rambly sketching session, and hopefully I'll do a few more marker doodles before this sketchbook is finished up. We are past half luckily, so I am slowly chipping away at this, but I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!